This is Bob Latchford, and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome to Toffee TV with me, Ped and Matt Jones. We are discussing John Stones. Obviously, he played against Barnsley. Roberto Martinez come out after the game, Matt, and said he's staying. He basically said there's not enough money to buy him, and came out with a big, massive, brilliant quote that I'm sure one day we'll have done pictures of him like Che Guevara about how money can't buy you and everything. And basically he just said he's not for sale. So that's made the statement, Matt, and I think it's a really interesting statement. We spoke about this previously this week about Roberto Martinez and John Stones and everything that's going on. And you look at Twitter, and people were out going mental when he put the transfer request in, and conspiracy theories and all the rest of it. Obviously, a lot of people out there saying, "Well, this is the board. The board have done this. They've made John Stones put a transfer request in," which was only made worse by numerous professionals and ex-professionals coming out going, yeah, that's what clubs do, and that just feeds into it all. But what I think was really interesting about this is, obviously we've seen the game. John Stones didn't seem to be right when he played. There was also a little sort of wave he did to the crowd, which, again, you don't know what was he waving to Everton fans, was he waving to Barnsley fans? There's all kinds of rumours on Twitter, which I will not go on here because they are rumours and I don't want to feed into them. But it's talked, Roberto Martinez has said Thursday morning he was going to reject it, and the club have now formally rejected that transfer request from John Stones. So from the club's point of view, it's all done and dusted. So do you think now John Stones will stay?
I think he simply has to stay now. If you look at the transfer request, could have given Martinez a lifeline, if you will, because he's come out.
Could have given the club a lifeline.
Exactly, because they come out all summer and said he's not going to be sold. And that's great, and everyone was happy about that. But as soon as he comes in and puts a transfer request in, there's a school of thought which would say that immediately shifts the dynamic a little bit. The manager,
which is what basically the transfer room,
exactly,
the conspiracies feed into.
Exactly. But now the club have come out again, the Martinez has come out again and said he's not for sale in the wake of the transfer request, and we're going to reject it. Again, money can't buy him. Now they have to stand by that, and the manner in which it was such a bullish statement, wasn't it? It was like you said, they're drawing a line in the sand. So if the player was sold now, it would make the manager look so foolish. It would weaken his position so much. You can only imagine what that'll do to the squad dynamic in the dressing room as well. And I think overall the club have handled this really well. I think they've protected the player safe in the knowledge, hopefully, that he's going to be staying, and that going forward, he's going to be playing in front of the fans every week. Who by and large, they've got behind him last night.
A couple of idiots, which
stupid
that video that we've all seen, which the media are paying, which will pay massive attention to. What I liked about the statement was Everton obviously didn't say nothing for the whole of Wednesday. They kept the counsel, and literally the first statement was John Stones is playing. That's the first statement. And then the second statement was from the manager after the game, who basically now, which has always been for the last sort of 15, 14 years of Everton, the manager is, he is the voice of the club. We don't roll out chief executives. Okay, Bill Kenway comes up now and again, but the manager is basically the voice of the club now. And what I liked was it was a measured, strong statement. All his words were perfect. He didn't get angry. He didn't, how many times we see a manager who are asked too many times the same question, and they come out with.
Tony Pulis did it, didn't he, last week with Berahino?
Yeah,
got a bit.
But they get angry about it, and they say, "Why am I still asking the question? Why am I still getting asked this question again?" But Martinez, I said it again, knew the reporter had to do his job, and had a very, very measured response, and basically said the club will not be pushed. We've had this all along. What he basically said was, we feel like this player is getting pushed into a position that, okay, he wants to go, but we feel like we know best what's best for him, and this kid will be pushed into a decision, pressured into a decision that is not for the best of his future. And I know a lot of people will go, well, of course he's going to say that he wants to keep a good player, but at the same time, it's about 40 million quid, and Everton, that's very, very tempting. But what it looked like was that he was almost putting an arm around them and saying, listen, I am here doing what I think is the best for you. I'm going to Chelsea's not going to be the best thing for you, and I want to look after you and I want to protect you. And that, I found that very, very interesting. It wasn't just about, oh, he's brilliant and we don't want to sell it. It was like, no, this is actually for his long-term future as a football player.
A lot of it's about perception as well, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think if Everton had sold him after being so bullish, they would have looked weak, the manager would look weak, and now it's the perception of the player they're creating as well. You know, it's a 21-year-old lad. The media frenzy around it's been unbelievable, like nothing you've ever seen before. He could have easily, I don't know if he has been influenced, he might have been, might not have done, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but he could have easily been influenced. And fans will look at that and think, fair play, I do feel a little bit sorry for the lad, and like you mentioned, these rumours, you forget how young he is and how much expectation is on him. He's 21 years old, exactly, and you know, you can't really blame him for wanting to go and play for a team like Chelsea.
Listen,
you can question the timing of the request and all that sort of stuff, but ultimately he's probably going to be an Everton player after the transfer deadline now, and they've got to protect him, and they've got to keep the fans on side of him as well.
The other thing about it is, you know, he's on a reported 30 grand a week when he signed that new contract last year. That will immediately go to about 120.
Yeah.
Just if you sign a contract and the fee is like 40 million pounds, you are gonna instantly go to £100,000 a week. So the kid's going to be thinking about all that. He's going to have people in his ear saying, oh, you don't want to miss the boat and this is your big chance and they're going to look after you and all the rest of it. And where did Everton go? And Everton are going nowhere and all the rest of it. You're going to get all that, of course you are. The kid is 21 years of age. He's going to be thinking, this may never come again, or Everton going to do anything. I fully understand why, you know, he's not one of us, are they?
No.
We bought him from Barnsley, we've looked after him brilliantly. But, you know, the kid's going to go to the very top. And I think all those pressures just build and build and build. And, you know, at the end of the game last night, he sort of looked emotional, but at the same time looked very withdrawn. And you just think it cannot be an easy decision for the lad. And obviously, I think what's happened on Tuesday is that Chelsea have pushed him to a corner and said, well, if you don't do this, we're just going to pull out. And we may never come back for you. We might go and find some other kid, you know, who be our long-term future, and he'll have had all those things racing through his mind.
He might just panic, mightn't he? He's probably been, if he does want the move, and reporters said that he's made the club clear of his intentions, he wants to go. He's probably been sitting around all summer waiting for the bid to come in, thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind going to Chelsea, to be fair, Mourinho, John Terry, all that sort of stuff. And if that's what's happened, like you said, and I think that's probably what has happened, because there were reports on Tuesday coming out where they're saying that Chelsea had finished the negotiations from a few well-respected journos. So they probably just give him a pinch and said, come on, lad.
Yeah, if you want it, you've got to push it.
But I think the important thing now is we've got to consolidate. Now, we can't just say we're going to keep John Stones and that's going to be a great thing for the club. It's giving him a reason to stay going forward and trying to facilitate an environment where these sorts of players do want to stay at us.
Oh, definitely. Listen, John Stones staying would be brilliant, but I'd still think it was had been a terrible transfer window. Okay, we, you know, kept players on and John Stones was staying, but still we've got to go out there and buy some more players. We've got to. It's not good enough. If you want to back up this, if Rachel Martin comes out and says things about ambition and moving forward and golden generations, he's got to back it up by buying other players. I think that's so important over the next few days. Massively important to almost say to someone like John Stones, see, we are doing what we need to do. Obviously, I mean, I'm still not fully convinced that John Stones will be an Everton player 6 o'clock on Tuesday. I'm still not, because there's still so much out there, and you see how much it means to Roberto Martinez, sort of like the emotional attachment to the player, and I still think there's a chance where the player will sort of have a breakdown. No, you know what I mean? Just emotionally tell the manager that he just can't stay at the club. I think that could be the only thing that could push him out. But I think if he does stay, I think it's important that the club maybe come out and say, listen, if you're staying, we'll bump your contract up, sign a couple of years extension. Listen, Suarez did it. It means nothing. It's just basically saying, we'll look after you while you're here, and then next summer we'll look at your position again.
That's the dumb thing. You mentioned there, Suarez did it, Benteke did it, Aston Villa last summer. Even Steven Gerrard did it, had a transfer request in. Cristiano Ronaldo wants to leave Man United, kept him on for another season. So these things happen, and fans are fickle. You look at the reaction to the player handing that transfer request in on Tuesday, and all of a sudden he goes from a great young hope in the minds of Evertonians to a villain and a snake, and those sorts of things. People change so quickly, and I just think if if we can keep hold of him, which I think we will, I just can't foresee a circumstance where they'd sell him now. If they keep him beyond the window, get through the 2 weeks of the international break, it'll all kind of die down a little bit.
And then we'll be playing Chelsea at home.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it. But I think another thing is, where's the speculation in the rumours? How can it be cranked up anymore now? Because he's handed the transfer request in. Everyone knows Chelsea wants him. Everyone knows he wants to go. Where do the press go from that? There's going to be stories and rumours about him leaving.
Keep him at the club, get him through the 2 weeks of the international break, get him back, settle him down, see how he is, if he's fit, if he can play against Chelsea, and then it's all over then for another year, and the lad will get on with it. He's a professional, he wants to play for England, he wants to go to the Euros, and he'll have a big chance next summer maybe to do that. So that's all we can do. I'm still not fully convinced he'll stay, but I think, Roberto Martinez has done brilliantly, and what he's done is he's quashed all the speculation, and now it's in sort of what people say, it's in the board's hands now. So we'll see what happens. I think it'd be a massive mistake if they sold him, because I think there'd be riots on the street.
But that's another thing. It's such a good move, I think, by the club as well, because divided, aren't we? Really, the fan base at the moment, and that statement last night seems to kind of pull everybody together and unite the fan base, and it's Everton flexing the muscles, and that's what we all want to see.
Oh, puffing out the chest. Tell us what you think anyway in the comments below. Will John Stones still be an Everton player? 6 o'clock on Tuesday. Tell us your thoughts. On Twitter as well, it is at Toffee TV1. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Up there, you'll see all our boss videos, because they are all boss. And we'll be back soon on Toffee TV.